It's time now for the Sports Objective Podcast. No talking heads, just guys who love sports. Here's Dave Richmond.
Welcome into the Sports Objective Podcast. I am Dave Richmond along with my buddy Kyle from LaGrange Barber. How are you, man?
Go on, Dave. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. We've got a couple stories to talk about. We got two big guests, so we'll have a short roundtable. Bubba Rosenbaum will be with us in a little bit later on. Two big stories as far as ECU is concerned, and that is Cortez Heron. Kyle was actually, they got, that waiver, I guess, for his hardship, I guess, when it comes to medical.
Yeah, get another year of eligibility, so that's good to have him back next year. So that's really good news. Use all the depth we can get on the O-line. And then the other big news is Juwan Powell and
Devontae Harris, I believe his name is.
Yeah, Devontae Harris both get reinstated to the football program if their charges were dismissed today. And that's also real good. Both those guys were, expected to have playing time this year, particularly Juwan Powell as a freshman. Was a lot of people thought he was going to start at corner. And, of course, our secondary's played well, so but we can use all the depth we can get. It'd be nice if we got some more good news before UCF and get Darius Penix back.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, two good things today, and what a good time to get both those guys back with the off week. They got a week to try to get in the swing of things.
There's no question about it, and it'll be good to see them hopefully being able to play, but if not, at least they're back on the team. That's really good news for the
They're
Pirates.
Able to play. It's just whether they can work their way into the rotation.
That's what I'm saying.
They haven't been practicing. They haven't been allowed to practice.
Right.
So, who knows? You don't want to – we're in the middle of the season now. You don't want to just throw somebody out there, but I'm sure they'll get on the field.
I do, too. I think they're too talented. Both of them are very talented, so no question about it. And I do have a proposal for you, by the way. Not a marriage proposal, but I have an idea for my, my winless Skins are 0-5 now.
Right.
And they have no coach, so they're doing a search. They even have, there was rumors of Mike Tomlinson is what Dan Snyder, the owner, wants to steal him as the head coach of the Steelers and bring him to Washington. And there's other coordinators across the league. But how about this? This is a far-fetched one. I came up with this, so it's my idea, and I'll take all the credit or blame. How about Lincoln Riley to the Redskins? There are a lot of teams that have expressed interest in the past, including there was rumors of him, if Jason Garrett didn't work out as a head coach of the Cowboys, that he would be he would love to coach for the Cowboys. So his offense, the defense is decent. It's just the offense has been terrible. And I thought with Lincoln Riley's offense, I don't know how that would translate to the pros, but it definitely had to be better than 0-5.
Well, y'all will have all the way until potentially, after the Super Bowl to make that decision. You ain't gonna hire Lincoln Riley away from Oklahoma right now.
No, I was just throwing that out there first in case somebody else. We can be first.
Well, yeah. If you're looking in the college ranks, he would definitely be one of the top choices if the Redskins want to go that route. I'd love to see Riley. Well, I'd say I'd love to see him at the Panthers or the Redskins, but I watch college football more than anything, so just to stay where he is.
Oh yeah, but, I'm just throwing it out there, just something to talk about.
Oh yeah, it would be it'd be interesting to see how he did coaching in the pros. That kind of offense is getting more and more in the NFL, so it'd be interesting to see how he did.
No question about it. And speaking of, we'd love to see how things go. Pirates basketball season is going to be here before you know it. Do you want to go to our first guest?
Yeah, we talked to the color analyst on the Pirate Learfield IMG Sports Network for the East Carolina Pirates, Si Seymour, and let's go to the interview now.
Well, Bubba, when I look outside my window and I see the leaves falling, that means it's the fall, and also means we're getting really, really close to college basketball, right?
Yeah, we're in the heart of football season, but the Pirates have an open date this week, and it's hard to believe we're just 4 weeks from tip-off against VMI. And to talk about the Pirates and the prospects for the coming season, very excited to welcome back into the show Si Seymour. Si, welcome in.
Man, thank you. It's good to be here. I'm like you. I'm ready to go, guys. It's going to be fun.
Well, I tell you, I was just telling Si guys before we started recording the interview that I love basketball and sports for that matter a lot. And when it comes to basketball, I wish it could be year-round, but I know it wouldn't make the season very special.
That's the truth. You are exactly right. We got to do it. We got to have things.
It's got to have like a season, like we have 4 seasons like we are just talking about, so we have to have a basketball season. So I was I was thinking about when having you on that when Coach Ruffin McNeil being football, we'll mention him real quick, he used to always talk about how much he loved his players, but he loved East Carolina more. And it was sad to see those guys go that we lost, but we got 11 new guys, and I guess with Joe Dooley, he's saying the same thing. He loved those guys, but he loves East Carolina more.
I think you're exactly right. When you really look at the staffs that we have on, I'm talking about baseball, basketball, football. These are guys that understand the pulse of an East Carolina. They feel comfortable about it, and Joe's been there, and Coach Houston understands it because he's been in this region forever. He understands ECU, and of course Cliff Godwin understands it completely. So you got 3 guys that are really knowledgeable about East Carolina, and they know how to handle situations.
When you have so many new pieces like this team is going to have this year, 11 new pieces, and that's just talking about the scholarship guys. You've coached at the junior college level. Talk about everything that entails as far as getting this team to gel together. And I know recently the team just completed a little 4-day retreat to the Outer Banks and took advantage of East Carolina alum Chad Williams being down there at First Flight High School as the head coach. And that had to be excellent for improving that team chemistry.
Well, I think you hit it on the button. It's really important that fans understand this like anything else. If someone told you that you only had 2 guys returning on your team, then everybody would say, man, it's going to take a while. Well, it does. It takes a while to get the chemistry right. Now, that doesn't mean that the talent level is not really good. It's the right thing to do. It's the right move to make. The question is, how quick can you get it to gel? I think, like you said, I think the trip down to the Outer Banks, I think that's important to do, to get away and to see something different. And thank goodness for all the people that were helpful down there at the beach down at Dare County, and they helped them through it. And they get to see things. They get to go eat places. They, as you say, they get things. Chad does a good job down there, and they get to climb Jockey's Ridge and also go fishing. So, I mean, it's a really good break for our team. But more, it's building camaraderie that's important. I also think the trip to the Bahamas is important. You're playing mid-major schools, so your competition is going to be very similar to you at this point. This is a talented East Carolina team, but as you said, when you are getting together, 10 new faces, it makes a major, major difference.
So how talented do you think this team is? I mean, everybody has talked about the signing class, signing 70 players. There was one publication that actually had it as a top 10 recruiting class. In turn, obviously, you talk about how they're going to gel, and we have no idea how that's going to work out. But just from a strictly talent standpoint, does this have the potential to be the most talented East Carolina team we've had?
Yes, no doubt about it. I'll say in the 21 years I've done ECU, it's the most talent I've seen. Now, I've seen other teams at ECU. Prior to this, Eddie had a good team or two, and Mike had a good team. Mike Steele, Eddie Payne had a good team. And even, I can go back, Dave Patton had great teams in the mid-'70s. But I can assure you, and Tom had good teams back before that, Tom Quinn. But this is the most talented team. I'm talking about great, really top-notch talent that ECU's had and depth everywhere. So that's where I'm coming from. It's depth and good quality depth everywhere on the floor.
So I was very happy to hear that you follow the program very closely, obviously being the analyst for radio. I've been told, well, what I hear from people like you, they're close to the program, that the guys are actually they do get along very well, and they're taking it upon themselves to play a lot of pickup games and play. Obviously, the coaches can't always be there until recently, a week or so ago, when they started practice, the end of the month, the end of September. What have you heard? What have you seen that would validate that?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to go and watch several practices. These kids go at it like they go like it's game situations because the competition is so great. It is that good. But understand, Rockford, Chile, this is a good coaching staff. And they know how to bond kids and get them to give it all and then pat them on the back. And these kids have accepted it. Now, the key is, I think one of the keys is, no one is safe out there as far as winning a spot. So they always have to give their best. And that will help your program more than anything else. The competition within practice is very important. But it gets difficult. They'll have a couple of scrimmages coming up very soon with other universities, closed scrimmages, and they need that tremendously. But having said all that, this talent level, it's the best I've seen. And what I also like is, because of that, the intensity level is extremely high. Everything that Coach Dooley does and his staff, and I love the way they rotate and really work on defensive rotations because they know that's where they're going to win. Last year, with very little talent, ECU was in games because of Joe's ability to run his defensive sets and scramble and get into place. They just do a tremendous job in their fundamental drills.
Do you think in this day and age of kids not only transferring just in the college level, but a lot of times even before that playing with different AAU teams, going from high school to high school, do you think that for a change that could actually be an advantage with so many new kids playing together?
It can be. It really can be. And here's what the truth is, and I'm speaking for me. This is, everybody's going through this. There were 800 and some kids last year, and whether we like it or not, somebody will leave ECU this year. But you know what I really like? Joe Dooley's on top of it. You know what I mean? He eats, sleeps, and drinks basketball recruiting and personnel. He will know every kid out there who's in his camp that's going to stay. He wants them all to stay. He loves his ball club, I'm sure. But the truth is, in reality, there's not enough minutes for some kids. I mean, they're going to and it isn't like the old days where they say, well, I'm going to spend my 4 years and I'm going to be here and I'm going to get my degree. And and you said it right. It goes back to the AAU world has changed everything. And in major cities, I know my son's the head basketball coach at Wake Forest High School in Raleigh. Kids are switching high school teams in a heartbeat. I mean, it frustrates him also to see them leave. He lost one today, he was telling me. But my point is, they will do that in a minute, and nobody thinks a word about it, even though you develop them. They will move out in a heartbeat. So you're right. And Joe Dooley is realistic enough to know that he wants to keep them all, but odds are somebody's leaving. That's just the way it is.
So as far as when you brings up another point too, it feels like with this college football is even get into it. Basketball has been in it a while with transfers. It just seems like that it's almost like we're watching not the pro game, but pro. When I say pro, that you have to learn all these. Like for us, we're having to study media guides. I guess it's called fact book now. That's how old I am, but we're having to look at the websites and learn all these players. And I guess it's even harder for you when you have to not only learn East Carolina, but you have to learn all these teams for every single game. So I guess it's got to be hard with all the change and turnover that we're having.
No doubt about it. And when you look at it this year, I mean, when you look at, for example, Tulane, they're getting a kid that was at Memphis. Then he went elsewhere, one of the Lawson twins, and now he's at Tulane. And he started his career as a highly touted recruit for Memphis. Just a really good player. It looks as though Houston is going to get a 5-star player. Everything's been done, so I'm sure he will. Houston's getting a 5-star player from Kansas. So players are transferring, and you got to be aware, and you've got to get your share. The truth is, I'm excited about what ECU has. I like his ball club. I like their attitudes, and it's amazing how well he has put together this team. A lot of thought and a lot of talking with coaches, and Rockford's unbelievable. Chilius is unbelievable. And Joe, they just know how to do this.
Si, we talk about the talent that we have coming in. What about we have two tremendous building blocks that are returning. You have senior Seth Lede, who's coming off a knee injury, but from everything I've heard, he's bouncing back very well. And then you also have Jaden Gardner, and what a tremendous freshman season he had. And then just think about how good he can be, and when he has that perimeter game to complement everything he can do in the post. And what have you seen as far as Jaden extending his range? Some.
Well, when you look at Jaden, first of all, you said it exactly right. You're getting two guys back, but the two you're getting back, they averaged 12 a game as an athlete. All freshman team averaged 16 and 8, played 30 minutes a game, which is way too much for a kid. I think there's so many. He led ECU in 11 categories. 11. That's just crazy to me. He has an uncanny ability to draw fouls. He was 25th in the country, in the nation now, going to the line. He went to the line he was 25th as far as free throws attempts. He gets to the line. He's so quick with his feet. He can avoid a charge and get a foul called on the other guy. He's very good at it. So when you're talking about a guy like Jaden Garner, he is just a major part of the puzzle for ECU. Lede can really get up. So those two guys, that's good cornerstones. But the pieces that are there, I mean, when you look at Newton and Brandon Sugg, Curtis, Tyree Jackson, the list goes on. Miles, I really like Miles. Miles is long. I don't know if you've had a chance, but he's 6'7", and as long as that, and he's a two guard, and he shoots around 40% from three. And at 6'7", that's a big two guard that can guard other people. You got to love Tremont. Tremont Robinson. I mean, Tremont is a player. He's got 3 years with you. 45% from three, All-State 2 times. I mean, he is a real super player. Baruti is going to be especially good at that power forward with Jaden Garner. Yeah, he's 6'7", can really play. Played at Washington. Played at the top junior college, Chipola. Just a really good player. And I'll have to tell you, all three bigs, and I'm talking about 7 feet when I'm talking about bigs, DeBall and Coleman, those guys, they're just special. Those two guys are special. And then you throw in, you say, well, that's two. Well, Edgar Luster's 7'2". And they can all shoot. They can all move. Coleman, highly recruited throughout the country. DeBall is a tremendous player. Now, his statistics are really not – they're not indicative of how good this kid is. He missed 3 months last year. So this kid is going to be good. He's from Guadalupe. He's tough. He's smart. I like him a lot. Tyree Jackson, the top 100 player went to Virginia Tech, then went JUCO route. And I would think Tyree might be running a little bit of point early because of the injury to the guard from Arkansas, Tremont Robinson. I think he'll end up playing a little bit there. So, but I tell you, our freshmen, don't anybody kid you, the 4 kids that we brought in, I'm telling you now, Brandon Suggs and Logan Curtis can really play, and Coleman can really play, and Tristan Newton can play. So these 4 freshmen are highly touted players. So there's a lot of talent out there for ECU going along with Lede and Garner.
Yeah, as far as Tristan Newton, sorry, Dave, I just had a follow up on Tristan Newton since Si mentioned him. So I heard an excellent interview with Steve Rockerfort on Pirate Radio with Stephen Igo on Hoist the Colors, and he was talking about just how, I mean, that's just one of those stories, and just some connections led to them landing Tristan Newton, and they heard that he could create his own shot, and then he could shoot the basketball the way he could, and he said, that's exactly what we need.
Yeah, well, when you look at it, he's 6'5", He averaged 37 a game his senior year. That was sixth in the country. He was the El Paso Times Player of the Year, All-State. And you said it right. Rockford can find a player. He finds this kid. He knows how to score. Now, it's not the prettiest shot in the world right now, but when you get him at 6'5", he can get it off and get it in the bucket. He is really tough, and I think he's really going to help him. He comes from a background of a lot of athletes. His brother plays in Evansville, so he will see his brother early in the season because he's over at Evansville. So it's a lot of things. And another cousin is running back for Green Bay, and that's Aaron Jones. So it's an athletic group of people.
You mentioned Evansville. You mentioned earlier the tournament in the Bahamas. Si, did you have a hand in getting that tournament done so you can get a free trip to the Bahamas?
Oh, yeah. We went to the last one. I'll go down there with them and see what we do, and it'll be a lot of fun down there. It's a tournament that I like because it's not heavy. The last time we had a tournament, I don't know if you recall, Mac went down, and we had Tennessee, who was really top-notch at that time, Purdue. They were all NCAA teams higher up. Northern Iowa that went to the Elite Eight. It was a loaded tournament that we went to. The last time we went to a tournament, that was in St. Thomas. And now this one is more of mid-major teams that when you go in it, you got a chance to win that tournament. I mean, whether it be Evansville, GW, whoever's in the tournament, you've got a shot. So it's going to be a good early season test. I think the hardest early season test, App on the road. Nobody's easy on the road. So just go ahead and throw that out there because I can assure you no one's easy. But I really think the toughest one early, I mean, talk about quality opponents. Liberty, Rich McKay's team, upset Ole Miss in the first round of the NCAA, or beat Mississippi State in the first round of the NCAA tournament last year and won 29 games. So Liberty is going to be a tough game on November 16th. And at App's it's just because it's on the road on the 12th. You know, you got App on the road, you got James Madison on the road, and you've got and at Navy. I don't care. Anytime you're playing somebody on their court, you better bring your A game. And he's got 3 early away games that they better play tough, and then he's got the neutral games. But again, it's a young team. You keep them together, keep molding them, keep moving them around. And my theory is that somewhere, and I know this sounds disappointing, but somewhere around mid-January it begins to set in, and you find out who's who. And then next year you're going to be really good because you got them back with experience. But this year's going to be good because you're going to look out there and you can say, this is a different level of talent out here and a different intensity level.
You know, Si, with one of the things that Pirate Nation I want you to address, because I see this on message boards and for whatever that's worth, but you see that where people are complaining about the schedule, but when you look at what used to be called the RPI, I guess it's the net now, I'm trying to get used to, I'm such an old-timer on that. We can't, right now, we have to just focus on who we have on the schedule, win a whole bunch of games before we can even worry about who's on the schedule, right?
Oh, yeah. And listen, it's not a bad home schedule. Now, people will say that, but let me explain to you something. You really need to look at other people's schedules too. If you think this is let me explain. These are pay games. These are games you pay people to come to you. ECU's asked. I remember when Jeff Lebo took over, he had like $100,000 for pay games. Well, these teams get minimum $50,000. So who are you going to buy? Who are you going to tell to come in there when you got $100,000 total? You can't. Well, the budget is finally up. Memphis has always been unlimited. Cincinnati's unlimited. So they can buy games for people to come in. Nobody plays away games if they've got the budget. North Carolina will play 1 or 2. That's it. Duke, 1, maybe 2. No more than that. And even North Carolina. The only reason they play 2 is because of the Big Ten Challenge. They have to draw the straw of playing away. You know what I mean? But, everybody says, well, they play Kentucky. Yes. Now name the rest of them. I mean, people don't do – and now they'll play neutral site games. They'll go to Hawaii. They'll go to places like that. But I'm talking about away games where you go into somebody else's territory, they don't do it. Well, I remember when we were playing at NC State one time, and after the game, I'd interviewed one of the coaches, and I said, now look, we want to continue this game with y'all. It's a good game for us. He said, if y'all don't get your RPI up, nobody's going to play. That's what he told me. And so it's hard. It's hard to get games when your RPI is low, as the ECU has been. Now, Joe, this schedule, when you look at it, I mean, Liberty's coming in, and they went to the final 32 teams. Charlotte will be decent. Eastern Kentucky will be decent. I mean, these are not poor games. These are what are normal games, and really a pretty decent schedule. Nobody's going to play the heavies. You're crazy to do that. You can't do it.
No, most definitely. When you look at I want to talk about the league too. I always am a fan of the league, but the American Basketball League is so amazing, and I'm hoping that at some point that we get to I hate to use the term the power league, but I already think it's a power league when you look at all the teams and you look at how many potential bids we can get this coming year when it comes tournament time in March.
No doubt. Well, we'll get 4 to 5 teams, and listen, we ended the year last year as the 5th most powerful conference. Well, there's supposed to be 5 Power 5 teams, and listen, the Big East and the American were in it. So there were leagues outside of the football elite that were not there. And the American is just loaded, and the Big East is pretty darn good. This is a loaded league, and this is probably a good time to talk about it. If you look at Memphis with Penny Hardaway's ball club, he has the number 1 player in the country coming in Wiseman. He has, I look at it. He's got 3 5-star guys coming in, and they're 6'9" and they're 6'5", and then his 4-star players, he has 4 of them. 4 4-star players, and they're all 6'9", 6'8", 6'4". These are great players. Wiseman, of course, the best of the bunch. And Akachua is Precious is what, 6'9". Jeffries is 6'7". I mean, these are guys that are 4-star players that can go. They will probably be early top 10, maybe top 5. I mean, it really gets that. So this league, you said it right. People really need to get educated in the American. It is an unbelievable league, and that's just that program. Then you look at Houston. They won 33 games last year. They lost to Kentucky in the Sweet 16. He's loading up again. Like I told you, he looks like he's going to get the transfer in from Kansas. Of course, he's a Houston kid. He's got great players back in Cedric Alley, Nate Hinton from North Carolina, Dejon Giroux. These are guys that can play. We get to see them. These guys are great. South Florida, look what they've got back. 24-14 last year, 92% of their score returning, and they were really good last year. So when you look at South Florida, Cincinnati, let's look at Cincinnati. You got a new coach in there, and you lost a really good coach. But if you think that Cincinnati's going down, they've got Cumberland back who can really play. They've got his cousin transferring in who averaged 17 a game. And they've got 2 big men back. So this is a good Cincinnati team that's going to be in there. Wichita State, 22 wins last year, and they've got everybody returning.
Wichita State kind of ended the season hot last year, too, didn't they? Didn't they make a run in the NIT?
Yeah, well, they won 15 out of 18. 14 out of 18.
They're going to be dangerous.
And look, his years, in the last 5 years, he's 30, 26, 31, 25, and 22. And his bad year's 22. He's got Dexter Dennis back. He's got 3 bigs who really impressed me. Mitten Guard is 7 feet, 260. Poor Bear Chandler is 6'9". Ejanike, who starts, is 6'11". He's got players. So when you look at these teams in this league, I wish it could be easy, but it's just not going to be that way. Cincinnati, I don't know if people understand this, but Cincinnati's been to the NCAA's 9 straight years. You know how many teams have been to the NCAA's 9 straight years? 6. Duke, Gonzaga, Kansas, Michigan State, and North Carolina, and the other one, Cincinnati. That's the 6 teams that have been to 9 straight years of the NCAAs. And what was one of our conference wins last year? Cincinnati. I mean, that's hard to believe, but that's how good. 9 straight years they've been to the NCAAs. I just don't see any weak teams in this league. And I look hard. But, you know, like you said about Wichita, they're going to be good. When you look at Cincinnati, they're going to be good. Temple, new coaching staff. Quentin Rose is back at 6'8". Nate Pierre-Louis, who I really like, is 6'4". His brother is on the team now. Josh Pierre-Louis, Devontae Perry. Oh, man, the list goes on and on. 6'9" red shirt. Parks. I look at it and they're very good. And then we leave out a team like Tulsa. Nobody thinks they do it. They always win. They just do. And they've got Ibanu back, who's a 6'9" senior. They're very good. And of course, SMU in the top 10 3 years ago. So when you look at it, this team is going to be good. And let me give you one on Zankovich at SMU. We really worked hard to get a kid named Tyson Jolly, best point guard in the country, JUCO. He went to SMU. We missed him. We worked hard. Now, we've got a good one. Don't get me wrong. I'll take our guys as good as anybody. But that kid there averaged 22 a game. He started his career at Baylor, went JUCO, 22 points, 12 rebounds last year. He's a top junior college guard. Now, don't get me wrong. I love ours because we get an extra year with ours, and he is really special. And I'm talking about the young man, of course, we were talking about from Arkansas. He is really Robinson. He's going to be a big help to us. Same kind of players. These are high-level, top-notch players. So you're right. The league itself, no weaknesses, none. So every night you have to bring your A game, and you better have depth.
And so coming off the non-conference, I know the first away game, we'll have an away game with Wichita, but like Bubba pointed out to me, 3 out of the 4 next conference games are going to be at home, right?
Man, he's right on it. Way to go, Bubba. You're, we talk about that too. That Wichita State game will be a bear. They are tough, and they'll be 10 to 12. Whatever they seat, they're there. We got there last year 45 minutes ahead of time, and the student section was completely full, and they love Wichita. It's the only game in town, and I didn't realize it when you really look up Wichita. It's bigger than bigger than St. Louis and Pittsburgh. It's a big city. You don't think it is, but it's bigger than St. Louis. Yeah, didn't know it myself. But and you get in there, and nice arena, packed, and they love the Shockers. They just do. And it's a really good arena. Then you come back, and you've got a chance, if you happen to be hot, to upset a team like USF that is really picked higher in our league because they have everybody back. And then you have SMU coming into town, which has new players, but a very good coach, just like ECU does. They coach together at Kansas. And then Tulsa. 3 winnable games that people really need to come out for in early January. And it can set a tone for this ECU ball club. And you all know, as well as I do, ECU's fans really in this league, and I've been to every place, there's no one like ECU fans if they get into it. You know that. There's nothing like the spirit of ECU. It is a tough, tough place if we can get it rocking in football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, you name it. If it's right at East Carolina, these fans are diehards when it comes to spirit. And we got to get them out, and they got to support this program.
That's what I was going to say, Si. I was thinking back. I know the 3 of us have talked about on and off air about how about that run, 2013 and the CIT. I know it was a postseason tournament, and it's not the top as far as NCAAs or NITs, but that run that we had it hasn't been that long ago. And you look at the crowds we had and how loud it was. You were there, and I'm hoping that's what we should expect on there. Speaking of tournaments, how far do you think it'll be before the guys, we discuss this all the time, especially in basketball season, how far do you think we are from getting to at least the NIT?
You know what? That's a great question. I mean, it could happen this year. I mean, that's if it falls right, it can happen. Not saying it is, but I'm just simply saying if everything falls right and the talent gets together early on, and you get a couple of close wins that go your way, you never know.
Hell, I'd take the CBI.
What'd you say?
I said I'd take the CBI.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. We'll take any postseason. And I don't know, like you were talking about, the CIT or CTI, whatever it was. Jeff Lee, we get back at 4 a.m, and there are 400 students out there waiting for us and fans. They loved it. It is a major deal. I try to tell people all the time. In football, you're taking 70% of them to a bowl game. In basketball, not that way. You're taking 60 out of 365. You take 64, and then you take the other two tournaments. You're taking about 35 to 40% of the teams. So that's really good if you win a tournament with only 35 and 40%. Bowl games, you're taking 80 of 130 teams, and it's a major difference between what we do in basketball. And I've heard commentators make fun of the tournaments, CBI. It doesn't matter. They'll make fun of. No, it is very difficult to win any tournament and to get involved in any tournament. It's not like football. I mean, I love football, but it's like taking 250 to 260 teams in football. Basketball would be. I'm just telling you, that's a major difference.
I was hearing they have the basketball for the ACC, Operation Basketball, on the David Glenn show today, and I heard Coach K making that very point. They won like 32 games last year, and they don't make, obviously, the Final Four or the national championship, but you win. I mean, can you imagine if East Carolina won 32 games? I mean, that's just mind-boggling. But the fact that you only have one national champion, you made a great point. And he mentioned that very thing about the bowl team, so it just sparked a memory there, but just this afternoon. But it was funny how we always think about, well, you're a failure if you don't win the national championship when you're in one of the blue bloods of college basketball, but you can still have a great season and fall a little bit short. And the tournament is a lot of it is skill, but it's still a lot of luck, too, to go your way. The breaks coming your way during March.
Yeah, when you really look at things, it's like I say, when you look at the Atlantic Coast Conference, because of their credibility and what they've done, let's get real. The first two rounds are home games for either State, Duke, Wake Forest, Carolina, because they're going to play them in Charlotte or they're going to play them in Greensboro. That's an unbelievable deal. I mean, that you get your round of 32 and you get to 16 and you've never left the state of North Carolina. That is a real deal. Don't get me wrong. Those schools can make it without it, but that's a heck of a deal that you don't have to worry about leaving home and the crowds are in your camp. It's always been that way. And so that's a good deal. But like you said, after that, all bets are off. All bets are off, and it gets to be very, very difficult in basketball. I do think I said this today. I had a little TV show that we do. The truth is with football, and I love football and I love basketball, we take a top 20 or top 25 in basketball, and there are 365 teams. Why in the world is there a top 25 in football and you have 130? Why not 15? Because really, it drops off like crazy after about 8. And you could really, it changes every week after that. I mean, it is just really something. I mean, if you're 25th one week, you may be out of it and 35th the next week. That's how crazy it is. I've often said we go too deep in football for top 30 or 25. Should be 15.
And realistically, there's about 8 teams that can win the national championship in football.
That's
about 8
That's
teams.
right, out of 25.
And then they throw this Power 5 crap in there. You're going to get me on a rant where you're ain't talking about football. And it gives teams like NC State, who are really equal to East Carolina in football, an unfair advantage because they get a Power 5 label on them, and they have a bit more. NC State has as much chance of winning the national championship in football as we do, and it's 0.
And they use it against us every year for recruiting, that Power 5.
Yes, they do.
And the other part of that, too, like I said, you hit sore spots with me, too. It really drives – there are a lot of schools worse than NC State that are getting that Power 5 money and using that Power 5 thing also. Yeah. And you just say, come on, guys. Who made this deal? This is I told the chancellor one time about 10, 12 years ago said, when is this going to court? Because you can't. It's not right.
Yep.
We're supposed to be under the same umbrella. And
That's correct.
It's just crazy to me. I just don't get it at all.
Well, Si, we appreciate your time. I just looked at how much you're always good to us, and I'll tell you one thing, too. When you do a show and you have Si Seymour, you don't realize that there's a lot of people that listen because you're on the show. So we appreciate your time. We're excited about the season. I think I'm going to leave you with this. I think this is the most I've ever talked about East Carolina basketball year-round and my being a Pirate fan since 1986.
You know, I agree with you. I think I'm right with you. And let's hope for good times. They've got an open thing coming up and open gym, and they're doing the right stuff. But I'm with you. It's the most excited I've been in a long time. And yet I know this is the first year, really, to me, of the Joe Dooley era. This is his first team. So let's go. Let's be patient and go with him.
All right, Si, thank you so much, and we'll look forward to having you back on during basketball season.
Man, loved every minute of it and look forward to being back on.
Thank you very much, Si. He's fired up and passionate like we are. So
yeah, Si's great, man. He always talks a lot of passion, gets into it. He's always a lot of fun to talk to, and I like that he he'll tell you what he thinks about the politics of that Power 5 crap. He didn't agree with it at all, and I'm glad to hear him say it.
That was very nice, and it's a power league. I don't care what anybody says, and even though forget basketball. I mean, I don't think there's any dispute in basketball, but hell, right now in football, we got 3 teams in the top 25, and one outside.
Two more sitting just outside. UCF and Tulane are both sitting just outside. So, I mean, I don't know what else they want.
Potentially 25%. Potentially, I should say 20% rather of the league of the top 25 is actually of the American. I mean, especially if they keep winning. So when you look at the teams in the West, they're doing. In fact, I mean, I was listening today to the on YouTube, by the way, to the Mike Houston, the teleconference they do for the American each week, and I just kept listening to the coaches while I was off today cleaning, and it was just amazing just to hear the coaches. And it's true, if you think about I know we spend so much time talking about East Carolina, but when you look at the rest of the 11 schools total, and it'll be 10 eventually with UConn leaving.
It's 12. It's 12 right now, and then it'll be.
I mean, I'm saying, but eventually with the league still with 11, it's still going to be strong even without UConn, especially with football. It might be probably will help us out. But the American
football, yeah. Unfortunately, we won't have UConn to beat next year.
Well, I think by next year we'll be in a better shape too with the program.
Oh, yeah, you would think so. You would think.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so for sure. Well, I'll tell you one program that's definitely in the right direction, and probably it might be the best program we have at East Carolina is East Carolina Baseball. And we had a chance to catch up with Evan Voliva, who recently graduated on the 2019 team and in the pros now. Let's go to him right now. Well, it's October, and I know now is a great time for Major League Baseball and the playoffs. And, Bubba, we got a very special guest on now.
Absolutely. Anytime we have the opportunity to talk East Carolina baseball, we enjoy it. And last year, one of the key contributors out of the bullpen for the Pirates was Evan Voliva. Evan, welcome into the show.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
I'm very excited to have you on, and certainly I know this is a bye week in football, and baseball, hard to believe, around the corner, so we wanted to have you on, certainly with fall practice and the practice and the games and stuff in the fall. But, well, out of the gate, just want to get your thoughts on I guess we start off with, how did you decide to be a Pirate?
So I guess it was my sophomore year of high school. Was when I started, kind of getting recruited after playing travel ball, and I'd gone around and played at a few colleges, but being from the Outer Banks, Eastern North Carolina, like East Carolina was always one of my top choices. Unfortunately, my top choice I think out of high school was like Carolina, unfortunately, but when I got closer towards making my decision, I got the chance to come here, and that's when Billy Godwin was the coach, and they showed me around, and I some people that I went to high school with, they had gone here, and I'd heard great things about ECU, and I came here on my visit, and I just fell in love with the place. So I was actually at a tournament in Kinston at the Wood Duck Stadium when they came and saw me, and they asked me to wait around after the tournament was over, because there's something with the rules, like you can't talk to a coach or whatever at that age until after the tournament's over. So I was sitting in Billy Godwin's office, and he was like, "Look, we're gonna offer you. We'll give you a week to make your decision. Like, don't rush." And I was like, "No, I'm ready to commit right now. This is where I want to spend my 4 years playing college baseball."
Evan, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, early on in your career, you had I think your first 2 seasons, you appeared in something like 30 games combined and had some success. But then in that 2017 season, that's what you suffered Tommy John. So then bouncing back in 2018, you appeared in a few games and pitched pretty well, but limited action. But then last year, it was very much like Davis Kirkpatrick the previous year. You appeared in 32 games out of the bullpen, and then I think you led the team as far as appearances and were really one of the key cogs. And so talk a little bit about your career and just the way those hardships led to that success you had later on.
Yeah, so my career is pretty unconventional. My first 2 years, I think my lack of success my first 2 years was directly because of how I was acting away from the baseball field. I got here. I come from a little town, Currituck, North Carolina. Not really much going on there, and I get here, and I think it's one big party. Something to do every night. I kind of let that affect how I was doing in school, and with that being Coach Godwin's first year, like, I was coming to the field every day, and I was like, God, I wonder if he knows if I missed class today. I wonder, so I think not having my stuff together off the field my first 2 years, because really I wasn't good in the classroom. I wasn't good off the field for my first 2 years, and I think that, played a key factor into how, not pitching well. So then, that happens. I had many meetings with Coach Godwin about if this was the right place for me, if I fit into the culture, and I told him, I want to be here, and I did just enough for him to keep me around. And so, after that second year was over, I go play summer ball. I'm starting to, I get my stuff together off the field, and I'm like, all right, I'm finally back to my old self again. I was throwing the ball well, and then I don't know, I guess it was about a quarter of the way through that season, I tore my UCL, and I was pretty devastated about it, because I was just finally starting to feel like I was back to where I was, and feeling like I could play a big part for the team, and then I'm out for the whole year. So it definitely took a lot of just, like, I had to take it one day at a time. Like I would look too far ahead sometimes, and it was just kind of like discouraging, because it's going to be a 12-month recovery regardless, and if you look too far ahead, it'll mess you up. So I would take it one day at a time, and thankfully Womack was there with me. He's gone through numerous Tommy John recoveries, and he's one of the best out there for help getting somebody through that. And so I told Coach Godwin, I was like, look, like, next season I'm going to pitch. I know I'm going to pitch. You know, everybody was kind of unsure if I would be back healthy by then. But, you know, I kept telling myself that I was going to be healthy and I was going to be able to pitch for him the following year. And fortunately enough for me, I was able to come back. I think I made my first appearance that year against Campbell, our last regular season game. Came in, ironically enough, my first pitch in a game since I had surgery. Coach Roselle caught a curveball, and you know, I was able to do that. Go out there. I think I threw 2 or 3 scoreless innings and got the win in my first time back out there. So that kind of took the butterflies away, so to speak, and was able to throw, I think, 2 or 3 more times that year, twice in conference tournament and once in the regional. So, you know, went off again, played summer ball, had a really good summer. You know, it takes a little while to knock the rust off after Tommy John. They say you don't really start feeling like your old self again until about 18 months after. And so come back the next fall, I'm throwing well again. And, you know, I told myself I had no idea that I'd be playing pro ball right now. I thought that was going to be my last year playing baseball ever. So I was like, you know, I'm going to go out. I'm going to give it everything I got. It's my last shot. And, you know, fortunately enough, a little bit of good luck and, you know, I was able to throw really well, be a key part for us, and, you know, then get drafted. So.
Obviously, that 2019 season was one of the best in East Carolina's baseball's illustrious history, no doubt about it. And I talked about the 32 appearances and 36 and 2/3 innings. And you had a 5-4 record and 4 saves, an ERA just above 3, and opponents hit less than 200 against you, just for some of those numbers. But I know that had to be so special for you to be on the mound when the final outs were recorded in the regional that Monday night against Campbell.
Oh yeah, it was. It's actually funny. I called down to the dugout. I was in the bullpen, and I had called down to the dugout. I think it was in like the 5th inning. I was like, "Tell coach, I don't care what the score is. I'm going to be on the mound when we get this when we win this thing." And yeah, it was a very special moment to be able to be out there. I tell people all the time that's like by far my favorite moment in my baseball career is, you know, if I had to do it all over again, losing game 1 and coming back and winning the regional the way we did, I would do it the exact same way because, I mean, that entire weekend, it was like a roller coaster of emotions. And we, you know, losing game 1 and then coming back and winning 4 games in 48 hours, like, in front of a packed-out crowd, it was special.
And the fact you had NC State, you had Campbell in there, that great baseball program show wherever to beat as well. I wanted to ask you, I hear all the time in the off season, I just want to get your take. I know it was disappointing the way the season ended. How much of the high was it to win those 4 games? Did that take a lot out of you guys when you go up to Louisville? Because I felt like you guys got a raw break on the way the rules work. You had to play on a Monday, and then all of a sudden you turn around just a couple of days. It's a quick turnaround. It's not like basketball or any other sport. It's a difficult sport, especially a guy like you that's a pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think we did get the raw end of the deal there, you know, playing all those games in just 48 hours and going into Monday and then, you know, having to turn around and be on a flight to Louisville on Wednesday. Like, it was a quick turnaround. I think, yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would really say that it took a lot out of us that weekend, but I mean, yeah, like we went out there and we gave it everything we had, and you know, come time for the Super Regional, like I'm not gonna say we weren't ready to play. I think we were ready to play. I mean, I think a lot of guys were tired.
Yeah, I think it was the perfect storm. Like you said, we had done what we had done the previous weekend. Louisville was playing about as well as they could play. It was just the perfect storm, wasn't meant to be. But out of all of those accomplishments you had in your career, you think about winning 2 conference tournament titles, a regular season title, obviously winning a couple of regionals and winning the first ever super regional game that freshman season.
Yeah.
So what are some of your favorite moments?
Well, I'd say three moments, stand out to me the most. One of my favorites, of course, is, Travis hitting that the walk-off 3-run home run at UVA. That was unreal. The other one, I think Travis hit a grand slam, I want to say, in the Super Regional, Game 1, to put us up by a ton. And then having the winning run on third base to go to Omaha in Game 2, and just not working out that way. But I think those are two great moments. But by far, I think that my favorite moment would have to be this year, like losing Game 1 and then coming back and winning 4 in 48 hours. Like it's just unbelievable what the team did and how we banded together and came together that weekend, and we're able to come back and do something that's really hard to do. Like guys are playing off of heart and guts. Like it was fun to watch. It was fun to be a part of. And even though going out the way we did this past season, losing at Louisville, like I can hang my hat on my senior year and how everything went. Winning the regional at home in front of the fans, it's a moment I don't think you can top.
No doubt about it. Tremendous atmosphere at Clark McClure Stadium that Monday night and really all weekend, and you would have expected nothing less. So you talk about the camaraderie, the team chemistry, and those sorts of things. Obviously, most good teams have those things. Talk a little bit about that during your time at East Carolina. You always hear Coach Godwin preaching culture. So talk a little bit about things, what you can share as far as just the lighter moments in the dugout, like the safety dance and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, we definitely had a lot of that fun stuff. Like we had a guy, Christian Smallwood, who came from a junior college, and he brought a lot of his JUCO antics to the dugout this past year, and it was able to loosen us up. And, like if I could sum up, this past year in one word, I would just say it's fun. Like we had so much fun. There was nobody that didn't like anybody. Like we were as close as a team as I think there was out there. And that's kind of honestly the theme my entire career here. Like with the stuff that Coach puts us through and all the challenges he puts us through in the fall and stuff like that, and preaches coming together as a team. Like it. Like I mean, you can see when you watch us play how close everybody is, but it was we were very close as a team, and there was really like no outcasts. Like it was we had fun all 4 years. For 5 years.
Were you surprised to see Coach Rozelle move on?
Yeah, I was. I was definitely happy for him. I mean, I know he got a big raise. It was sad to see him leave, being in Greenville this off season and him not being here. Definitely, I wish he was still here, but you gotta make decisions in life that benefit you and and your family. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy for him. It's a great step for him, and he's one of the best pitching coaches there is out there. And University of Kentucky's really lucky to get him.
Have you had the opportunity to meet Coach Dietrich yet?
I have not yet. I've kind of been in and out of town, honestly, on the weekends. I've been able to go out there for one scrimmage, but I haven't got the chance to, meet all the new staff. But I plan on doing that here soon.
So, Evan, after the Super Regional was over up at Louisville, and talk a little bit about what it was like getting drafted in the 18th round by the New York Yankees. Obviously, when people think of Major League Baseball, and that's one of those organizations that they think of. So tell us about that experience.
That's actually a pretty cool story, too. So think it was day 2 of the draft. I got a couple of calls from teams saying they were going to take me in anywhere from the 7th to 10th round. Well, the 7th and 10th round, that came and went. I didn't get picked, so I swore I was never going to stress out over the draft. I would just enjoy it, but I'd be lying if I told you I didn't stress out. But I did, after day 2 came and went. And so day 3 comes, and then, the 15th round comes, and I haven't heard anything from any teams. And we're actually on the way to the airport at that time, about to get on our chartered flight to Louisville, and I still haven't heard anything. So I'm kind of freaking out. I'm like, what am I going to do if a team calls me while we're in the air and they don't answer me? I'm like thinking worst case scenario. I'm like, they call me, I'm in the air, I can't answer, I don't get drafted. So we're sitting on the runway. Thank God that the air traffic control guy was late getting there. But I went on my phone, set my voicemail. I was like, yeah, this is Evan Voliva. This is the MLB draft calling. The answer's yes. I'll sign for anything. Just in case they were to call me while I was in the air. And I think it was probably 5 minutes before we took off. Billy Godwin called me, and he said they were taking me, and I came up on Twitter, and it was fun to get because the whole team was watching on Twitter. It was fun to get to celebrate that with all those guys and all that. And then Billy was actually in the room with Bryce Harmon, who I played with previously, and was able to, give the phone to him and let me talk with him a little bit. And that was it was awesome. It was a special moment.
Evan, I had a question as far as, and I'll get back to East Carolina in just a second. We're dropping this podcast on Wednesday. Very excited about the playoffs going on right now in Major League Baseball. Do you have a feeling of who you think, who you want to win and who you think's going to win?
Well, I mean, of course I want the Yankees.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. That's what I said.
He better be saying the pinstripes.
Yeah. I can't be saying to the other team.
That's why I said who I want to win and who I think he wants to win.
I'm kidding with you, Dave.
Dave didn't know the Yankees were in the playoffs.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah,
there's 8 teams left. I know.
They're paying my bills. They're on my pay stub. So I got to pull for them. So I'm going to say the Yankees just to clear my name of anything.
Who did you grow up rooting for? Were you a Yankees fan growing up, or a Braves fan, or maybe an Orioles fan growing up almost in Virginia?
No, I was absolutely not a Yankees fan growing up. I think I was the exact opposite, to be honest with you. My whole life I've been a Braves fan.
Okay. That surprised me. Lots of Braves fans in this area. Even though, like I pointed out, man, you were almost in Virginia, not too far from Maryland. It just doesn't seem, even though the Orioles are in our backyard, so to speak, nobody really cares.
They're not doing so hot. So they're never really been an Orioles fan. I've always been a Braves guy, but I've converted to the Yankee ship now.
Good. That's a good thing for your career, right?
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
I wanted to ask Evan about the success he had as a rookie. So I know you finished out the year in Pulaski. That's an organization, or it's advanced rookie ball, if I'm not mistaken. So So you I think combined between I think you played in the Gulf Coast League to begin with. Now where was that?
That was in Tampa, Florida.
Okay, so you between there and Pulaski, you had right at 25 to 30 innings, and you fared very well. You struck out something like 34 in 27 innings, and then opponents hit like $180 against you.
Now where's Pulaski?
Southwest Virginia, not too far from Blacksburg.
Yeah.
Okay.
The middle of nowhere. We're about 30 minutes from Virginia Tech.
Okay.
But talk about your success and the amount of time you saw in those 15 plus games for the 2 rookie balls.
Yeah, it was definitely a change in everything, going from college ball to pro ball. It's a lot slower paced in pro ball. like the first time I was actually pitching, I was so used to, being in college, coach would call down the bullpen and be like, all right, hey, make sure you get up and moving around, make sure you start stretching, make sure you start tossing, and then, get hot, as he would kind of, fill you in as need be. Well, in pro ball, they call down one time. That means go ahead and start throwing off the mound as hard as you can. So you got to be doing things, throughout the innings to keep yourself loose to be able to go in. So my first time, he calls down, so I start doing my bands. And, of course, things go haywire out there, so I have to go in after throwing, I think, like 5 or 6 pitches off the mound. But, luckily it went good for me. But, yeah, I try to keep the mindset, the same mindset I had in college, that guy's trying to beat you, don't let him beat you, and go after him. And, and tried to have fun with it. That's the main thing, just enjoying the opportunity and having fun with it. And I think that, playing stress, not putting any stress on myself, and just letting everything take care of itself. I think that had a lot to do with the success I had this year in pro ball.
Do you have any good stories on Cliff that you can tell? Anything interesting, or
man,
some antics of Coach Godwin?
Some antics of Coach Godwin. I mean, there's some really good ones out there. Yeah, trying to think of some suitable for the podcast.
Well, Evan, while you're thinking of one, that's what I didn't have the opportunity to attend Meet the Pirates last year, but I know my parents were there and several other friends. But the video they had with Coach Godwin's interaction with the media, and those were pretty priceless. Those were pretty priceless.
Those are definitely some great Coach Godwin moments. How he gets on the media sometimes. I think it's hilarious. As a player, it's hilarious. But those are definitely some good ones. I've gotten quite a few of those smart remarks myself, sitting across from him in his office. So it's nothing new to me. But
yeah, one of those that really stood out. I guess it was from 2 or 3 years ago when I think we had just won a midweek game at home against High Point or someone, and then we were about to go down to UNC Wilmington the following night, and Josh Graham asked him about who the starting pitcher was going to be. So, well, why don't you show up tomorrow night and find out, okay?
Yeah. No, I love that. Like, I think my favorite ones are when, like this past year, for example, I think it was like we were like 2 weeks out from playing UCLA, and a bunch of the reporters were asking him about the UCLA game. And, of course, and the most Coach Godwin answer, he's going to say how he's worried about tomorrow and not worried about UCLA, just, the one game at a time. I know y'all hear that all the time.
Yep. Guys, you got anything else?
Yeah, just Evan, as far as I want to get your take if we can on this year coming up. How do you feel about the team? I know that this is the first year as an alum and looking back, but what do you think about the 2020 Pirates?
I haven't got a chance to watch everybody play, but like I said, I went to the scrimmage this past Friday and saw some guys. They look really good. They look like they're really deep on the mound. A lot of arms. You got of course Gavin coming back, who I think is going to play a huge role. You got Cooch Maynor coming back, who Mr. Perfect from last year, and Burleson. Like you've got a great mix of new guys and experienced guys, and I think they're going to be really gritty. I think they're going to be tough to beat. Like they're super talented from what I see. So I'm excited for them. I look forward to getting out to the first couple weekends at home while I'm still here. So
absolutely. Well, Evan, we really appreciate your time. It's been great. It's been great catching up, and we certainly wish you nothing but the best with the Yankees and throughout your pro career. And would love to check you out sometime. I know, I believe you guys are in the same league with Burlington, so that's not too far. So Pirate fans that are in the Piedmont Triad area, and definitely go check out when the Pulaski Yankees, if that's where you in fact are when the 2020 season starts.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Hopefully, I'll be promoted by then. So hopefully, I'm hoping to be in Charleston. That's the goal.
Gotcha.
Which is still close. So.
Definitely, plenty of Pirates down there as well. And so all the Palmetto State Pirates. Make sure to go check out Evan Voliva. And we really appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you guys.
What a great guy, and he really gets it being from Eastern North Carolina. And I just love that story about how he started out, and it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And what a great competitor. One of my all-time favorites in recent memory. Just love his command on the mound, and we're going to miss him certainly this coming year. With just I think Voliva has always been clutch to me, so I'm going to miss him. But very happy for him personally. For he had no more eligible anyway, but just happy for him personally to be in the Yankees organization.
Yeah, hopefully he continues to work his way up through the organization there, and see how far he can get. Obviously, the goal would be to play, in the MLB, but get as far as he can get in the minor league organization, and go from there. So good luck to Evan.
No doubt about it. I saw that you put on Facebook about how much you hate bye weeks.
I do.
I hate it as for us because you get looked forward to it. But I'm happy for the team that they get time, like we're talking about with.
No, it's a good time. The halfway point in the season. This year you have 2 bye weeks, so we got another one in November. But it's just really, for me as a fan, it's irritating. You ain't got nothing to look forward to in terms of a game this weekend. There's a lot of other good games to watch. But, it makes it even longer coming off of a Thursday. But, yeah, they can use it. It's a good time for it. They definitely, need the time right now to practice and work on things. UCF's also coming off of a bye week when we play them, and they're going to be pissed off after losing to Cincinnati, so I don't particularly like that timing. But it is what it is. Hopefully, over the next couple of weeks, the guys can improve on some things, get better, and come out and have a good showing in Orlando, and then, come home. And the one I got circled, Dave, is USF. To me, USF is a team that we'll know a lot more about the next 2 weeks as they play BYU this weekend and Navy next weekend. But I feel like USF is a game in Greenville that we could potentially win. And not to get too far ahead because we got UCF first, but that South Florida game, if we can find a way to win it in a few weeks in Greenville, would be a watershed moment for this program.
When we're looking at the schedule, you talked about that, and it's true because when you look at the remainder games, that's what the bye week represents to you.
Yeah. Oh man, the rest of the schedule is brutal.
And we have Bubba.
You got UCF right outside the top 25. We'll probably be back in the top 25 soon. You got Cincinnati, who's in the top 25 and just looks dominant on defense. And then you got SMU, who's right now the highest ranked team in the American. So you got 3. I'm going to throw UCF in as the top 25 team. You got 3 top 25 teams. You got South Florida, which I do think is winnable, but it won't be easy. You got Connecticut, which is one that on the road even we should be the favorite in. And then you come home to close it out against Tulsa, and Tulsa almost upset SMU this past weekend. So it's tough the rest of the way, man. If we're going to improve on that 3-9 mark that we've had the last few years, we're sitting with 3 wins right now. You got to get them where you can, and that South Florida game is one that again, we got UCF first, so you never know what can happen. But to me, that South Florida game is one that you got to circle and make important, and Pirate fans need to turn out for and be loud.
Bubba, I know that you're joining us now here, certainly for the close, and certainly we had the great interviews too. What do you think about the second half of the season?
I agree with what Kyle's saying, man. That USF one really stands out for obvious reasons, because they've really struggled offensively. Yes, they did have some better output in the most recent game with UConn, but prior to that, they had really struggled to put up points, just like the Pirates have. And
that looks like a pretty evenly matched game, especially with it being at Dowdy-Ficklin. So hopefully the Pirate Nation will turn out and we can get a second win over South Florida, because that's a game or a series in which the Pirates have really struggled in that lone win in 2014.
And South Florida plays on CBS Sports Network. I believe it's a 12 o'clock kickoff against BYU, maybe at 3:30. They play on CBS Sports Network against BYU Saturday in Tampa. Don't quote me on the time. And BYU's quarterback is out, and BYU is actually only a 6-point favorite in that game. So that'll be interesting to see how that one plays out.
No doubt. And with USF, and you look at, I think that the 3 out of the last 4 games, I think, are going to be really hard. When you look at we're talking about SMU and Cincinnati, and Cincinnati, then SMU, and then you look at the Connecticut game, like you said, should be one that you would think you could win. One of the games I thought we could win will be the Tulsa game, and Tulsa's looking way better. SMU and Tulsa are 2 surprises for me this year. They're playing a lot better than what I expected.
But, SMU, it'll be interesting to see. Me and Bubba talked about this a lot the other day, Dave. Tulsa's schedule is brutal down the stretch.
Yes.
So even though they're much improved, if you start losing a lot of ball games, sometimes it gets in your head. And if we can find a way, and this is a big if, but if we can find a way to beat South Florida and, say, Connecticut, and we're sitting there with 5 wins that last game of the year against Tulsa, playing for 6-6, I tell you what.
And it's home.
At home, it would. I would think we would have a good chance to pull that one out, no matter how good Tulsa is. You never know how things are going to go. We might not win a game the rest of the year. Who the hell knows? We may already be sitting there with 6 wins. Also, who the hell knows?
Yeah, something else you and I were talking about earlier this afternoon, Kyle, is that second open date. I think if we're going to have a second open date, it does fall at a good time, right after that tough stretch that we were just outlining, and then
right.
And then prior to the trip to UConn. So who knows what the Pirates will be at that point. But let's say we beat USF and then drop the others. If we're 4-6 and then looking to win out to get to 500, that could be a open date at a good time.
I agree with you 100%. And I think any way you cut it, it's an open date at a good time. Let's say we win 2, I still think it's a good time. Let's say we don't win any, it's a good time for an open date, because you need to make sure you beat UConn and then try to take some momentum in to Tulsa to finish up with 5 wins. I mean, you gotta, I still say 5 wins is a successful season in terms of win total from what we were. So again, that South Florida game to me is so key to getting the 5 wins.
No doubt about it. And, that's what hurts about one of the games for me. You were talking about South Florida. The other game for me that I had circled on the schedule, we just played the Temple game. If you found some way to, we had our chances in that one. But at least we know that with a tough opponent like Temple, that we're competitive. And as Coach, I know, talked about today, you can definitely tell this program is headed in the right direction.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I believe, anyway, if we played that same game against South Florida like we did the other night, I don't know that we would have won it, but it would have been a 1-score game.
Right.
So we just need to keep getting better.
And that's all you can do. And I tell you one thing, when I was listening to Coach talk on the teleconference, I was listening to this on Monday, listened to it today. He actually was talking about getting better, that very thing, and the way that you see that getting better is you see the defense the players making some plays, especially the young kids. I think that's and he was talking about how young the team is, and I just go back to that a lot. I think before it was so much gloom and doom, and the one thing that we have to sell now as a program is hope. And before there was absolutely no hope, all the apathy, all the stuff, and as we talked about ad nauseum, I know, but talking about all the stuff we've gone through as an athletic program that we didn't have to do before. So it's going to be interesting to see the second half of the season. And you guys are, I know, we're ecstatic about basketball, and there's all the Olympic sports are doing so well right now. It's just great to be a Pirate right now, and it makes me feel good knowing that the one sport that we desperately needed to get back on track is football. And I think right now, email us and tell if there's anybody that thinks the program is heading in the wrong direction. I don't think any of our listeners will do that. It may be Captain Bill and maybe a couple other guys, a couple other ladies.
Captain Bill doesn't know how to listen to podcasts.
Yeah, something else I wanted to plug, guys. We talked about it during the Si Seymour interview, but the open practice on Thursday, if you're there in the Greenville area or where you can make it, 4:30 to 6:30, and I think it's going to be in Minges, not the Smith-Williams Center. So definitely go and check that out. And then if you're interested in the women's basketball team, I think it's October 19th, something like that. But they're going to have an open practice as well, where if you're maybe you're interested, or maybe you have a daughter that plays basketball, and take them out and let them see Kim McNeil and that staff in action.
Fantastic. And we're going to have actually Kim McNeil. We're going to have John Gilbert, a whole bunch of people.
Now, is it true that the Snoop Dogg's going to be at that open practice?
Well, actually, yes, it is.
Okay.
And by the way, that we were talking about this earlier. That was the most. I can't understand why. You knew what you're getting with Snoop Dogg, number one, but that was very, considering that Snoop Dogg, I thought that was very tame compared to what it could have been.
Yeah, I didn't see the performance, but what I read, I'm like, what the hell do you expect with Snoop Dogg? I mean, if you want the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, then book the friggin' Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
But you can't expect that and then book Snoop and expect the Tabernacle Choir, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no telling what kind of currency would be coming out of the, what do you say, being blown out of a cannon?
Yeah.
So, yeah, what type of currency they might have at a concert like that in Greenville.
We got some Dooley dollars, right?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you shot out by the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
maybe even some Shanahan coins.
Shanahan coins. Wait a minute now, Bubba. Hold on now. Wait a minute.
Those are worth something now. We can't do that. It's worth way more than those $100 Snoop.
Shanahan coins. I hear you can trade them for 2 wooden nickels. I don't know.
Make it rain.
Jesus Christ. Do you think he listens to the podcast? I don't know, Gray.
I don't like you at all, Kyle.
That's okay, Karen. You have a girl's name.
Karen?
Karen. Yeah, it sounds like Karen. Yeah, of course. I know it's Karen. But I like calling him Karen just because, he's a pompous ass, and that's how I like treating pompous asses,
Okay, and all the emails can get... there's nobody
who's thanking me? You mean thanking me for telling it how it is?
I'm just I like getting you fired up for it.
Email me.
Kyle from LaGrange@gmail.com.
Yeah, that's right. Email me. Tell me you agree with me that he's a pompous ass.
He's so famous he has his own email. So good stuff there. You guys have anything before we go?
No, not really.
Bubba, you got anything?
No, not really. I'm sure Kyle probably already said this earlier, but these off weeks like that where you have a Thursday night game and then
brutal.
16 days. 16 days seems like forever.
Bubba can get out and play some golf now for this weekend.
Nah, Bubba's gonna stay home and watch college football.
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
Been
a while since I played golf, but yeah, I'm sure I'll be in front of the TV for at least part of Saturday for sure.
Yeah, we got some good games Saturday on paper anyway. In the American, we'll run down some games real fast before we go, guys. Memphis and Temple, a big one in the American.
Yeah.
Let's see, what are the highlights? Oklahoma and Texas, the Red River rivalry.
That's huge this week.
South Carolina, Georgia. That'll probably be a blowout, but nonetheless. What else we got, guys? Alabama, Texas A&M. I mentioned earlier BYU at South Florida. That's 3:30 on CBS Sports Network. Cincinnati, Houston, another good one in the American. Florida State, Clemson in the ACC. Michigan State, Wisconsin. Texas Tech, Baylor. Baylor, are they still undefeated?
They are. They're 5-0. Matt Rule turning it around. People expected him to do well there, but he's
really fast.
Expedited that process.
One of the most underrated coaches in college football.
I really like him. Yeah, I'm glad he's out of the league.
Not kidding. What else we got? Just running over the schedule here real fast.
And I do have a shout out to give whenever you.
Tomorrow night we have a big game. And this may not be on a lot of folks' radar, but it's certainly on mine.
Wednesday night. You mean Wednesday night? Well, I don't know when we're dropping this, but
Wednesday.
Yeah. Well,
tonight, guys. Tonight.
Yeah. So App State down in Louisiana at Lafayette. So that'll be a heck of a matchup.
And that was the Sun Belt Championship game last year. Yeah. And the line on that game is even. So that could be that's a good one. Hey, I got one for you here, guys. Under the radar game. Watch for the upset in this one. I'm not calling it, but watch for it. Hawaii at Boise State.
Oh, wow.
So Florida LSU. Florida LSU is another huge game.
I agree, Kyle, regarding that Hawaii Boise State game. That's one that you, I, and Jay Sunhalter talked about on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't remember. I was falling asleep during that.
Yeah,
I was very sleepy and laid down on the bed, and so I don't remember talking about that game, but I'm sure we did.
Yeah, I was laughing earlier. I went back and listened to a little bit of that, and I happened to hear the part where I asked you about some matchup, and you said, I didn't hear anything you just said. I said, well, I appreciate your honesty. You didn't try to fake it.
No.
Oh, God.
And
then Jay just picked right up. He said, well, this is what I thought, Bubba.
I'm glad he did. Because I vaguely remember parts of that conversation, and other parts I don't remember at all. So,
thank you, Jay.
But anyway, so Saturday, good lineup of games on paper. So, this past Saturday, I thought, with the exception of a couple matchups, I thought it was a terrible Saturday of college football. This one looks to be a lot better.
No doubt. And by the way, before we go, we have a friend of the podcast and former Pirate, one of the best linebackers of all time. Today is his birthday, being Tuesday. We're dropping on Wednesday. Do you know who it is? Whose birthday it is today?
Jeff Carr.
Pernell Griffin's birthday today.
Griffin, okay.
So I want to give a shout-out. Love Pernell, being from our hometown of Williamston, Kyle, and one of the best linebackers we've ever produced in this town. And, of course, East Carolina had $5 billion offers, and I'm really proud of him, what he's doing now, and definitely up to great things there in the great town of Nashville. So I know he listens from time to time, so I want to give Pernell a shout-out and happy birthday.
Yeah, big Pernell Griffin. If I remember correctly, he came down to East Carolina and Penn State. Back in the recruiting days.
Yeah, and the great thing about him was the fact that he was a guy that certainly wanted to play. He obviously started it as a true freshman, and he wanted playing time, and he was smart by staying home and playing in front of the home crowd and playing from your family and close by when you have Williamston Tigers are driving to Greenville to see you play. So Williamston fans, so very smart by his, and who knows, the good news is, I'll say this before we go, having Mike Houston now, a guy like Pernell Griffin, the future is bright because guys like him will stay home versus before we lose them to NC State, North Carolina, and maybe other big schools like Clemson or Alabama. But now we have a chance that we actually have a fighting chance where before there was no hope.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. The staff is seemingly recruiting very well, and very excited to see how things continue on the recruiting trail. Did you plug our upcoming content?
I did mention, I think we're going to have John Gilbert on. Let's see, who else helped me? Kim McNeil.
Yeah, in addition to John Gilbert and women's basketball coach Kim McNeil, we'll have former Pirate pitcher and current pitcher in the St. Louis Cardinals organization, Evan Krasinski. Cruz will join the show. So we'll continue on the baseball theme. After talking to Evan Voliva, we'll have Krasinski, and then we'll also talk to Corey Glore. So plenty of Pirate baseball talk headed your way. And it's funny, just here no more than 10 minutes ago, guys, I had a text from a loyal listener here in Charlotte, good family friend, and he said, how about with the open date? How about you guys get Corey Glore on? I said, we're on it. I said, we're actually talking to Corey here in a couple of days. So he was excited to hear that.
Corey's one of the best and definitely a friend of the podcast, and he's been, I think, one of the best that we've had on in the last year and a half. No doubt about it, for consistency, number of times he's come on, and certainly the content, and he's just an overall good dude. So appreciate Corey for all that, and I want to thank Si Seymour for coming on. And speaking of good dudes, Si and Evan were tremendous guys, and look forward to, even though it's the off week as we have like the bye week, we definitely have a lot of great content coming out, and definitely hopefully people will listen for that, and we'll be keeping up with all the team. And there's any breaking news, of course, we'll have that as one.
If there's breaking news, we'll see.
That's right. We'll definitely will. We'll get the mechanics in, and plan ops, we'll get them to come fix it. All right, for Kyle from LaGrange Barber and Bubba Rosenbaum, I'm Dave Richmond for the Sports Objective Podcast.
You've been listening to the Sports Objective Podcast. Join us next time as the guys will be objective, and the objective is sports.